Hello and welcome to Tech of the Day. Welcome to second tutorial of Learn C Sharp with me or NK from scratch. So in the previous video we just talked about C Sharp. What is C Sharp? Why should you use C Sharp? And how to get started with C Sharp. What do you need? You need an IDE and then you install it using a Visual Studio editor, which is Visual Studio 2019, and we created Hello World application. So now we will discuss that application one by one, and using that application we will also discuss basic terms and basic things used in C Sharp. What do you really need to know in C Sharp? So if you haven't come across me, then I'm Nitesh Sharma, highly interested in learning and sharing .NET knowledge, and that's why I'm here to help you understand C Sharp and get started with C Sharp. I have around 6 years of experience and I'm a senior consultant. Let's get started. C Sharp syntax. So we will explain the syntax of the previous code we just used. Okay, this was our previous application which we used, and we will discuss this lines of code one by one. So let's get started from the first line. Here you see using system. Using means it's a reserved keyword which is familiar to the .NET compiler, and .NET compiler understand that I am saying using and then next after a space it is waiting for another keyword which is a known library. So system is inbuilt library is something, in simple language it's a group of class. Library, you can say it's a namespace actually, so it also has other namespaces which you need. You can use anything, but okay. And then you say namespace because any program is linked. So what is the hierarchy? You have your whole project, then within your project you have namespaces, and then you have classes, then you have functions. We will discuss this later. So namespace is the second hierarchy level, which is there to have all the related classes. Okay, then next you call, because within the namespace you have classes, so you call your class as program, which we just named it program.cs, and then within a class you have a method, static method, void main, string, arguments, and so this is a method. This whole is method within a class, within a namespace. So the first thing in C Sharp, you see everything you start, you need to put these braces, curly braces, and these braces means your namespace definition starts from here, and then for your class definition starts from here, and same way for your function starts from here. So you put curly braces to say when it is starting and when it is ending. So you see namespace starting here and ending here, it will automatically understand where it is ending, because the inside properties or methods or classes should end there. So the method is ending here, class is ending a little bit further, and the namespace is ending later on. Okay, and then inside this method, which is static, we will talk about static methods later on, and you have a statement which is saying console.writeLine hello world, which means console is when we run it, we have a console. This is the console, and console.writeLine, which is a function again from, so console is coming from system, this one from system, and system has a definition, has a class called console. So if we just go there, you see this is console class coming from assembly system.console with this version, and the namespace is system, which we used, and console is having all these properties and functions and static methods, so that we can use directly. So it's clear now, right? What do you need for a program? You need to use some basic available namespaces or libraries. Then you need to have a namespace. Within namespace you have a class, and then a class you have a method, main method. Here main method is the starting point for this application. So main method is the one who start this application. So when I just click here on the play button, it will go to main method, and then it will follow the instructions from the main method, whatever I want to do. Okay, then comments. If you want to do any comment in your application, you just put /. So you just put like this, 2 / like this in front of any statement you want. So this is how you can comment out, and that way, that means the compiler will understand that compiler don't need to execute that code, and neither they need to keep it in there. But why do you need the comments then? Because if you don't need it, you can just delete it. But if you delete it, then you no longer have it in your application. So if you, let's go back to the application. If I want to comment it out like this, I just commented it, and the function is doing nothing because there is no other statement. And in case I did something complicated, let's say, why did I wrote this application? Someone else is going to work on my program, my project, my application later on, and they need to understand why did I use console.writeLine. So I want to specify, okay, I used console.writeLine to print hello world. So simple, right? I'm just telling them, the future developer, I'm just, or for myself as well, because after 2-3 months I will forget why did I use this line, why did I put this, and later on I might put some strange calculations which I might forget after some time, and I need this. So I need comments for that purpose. You can have multi-line comments as well. You can have comments for special functions as well. Let's say if you just want to say something about this function, what this function is doing, or let's just do another function, public static void do something. This is the function, and it is just printing another line, another line, and that's all. This is what so this is a function, but I want to say something about this function because I don't know what it is, why did I use it, or what is the use of this function. So I decided to put uh, definition, not definition, but explanation about this function. So I can put multiple lines of comment. So I just do like this. What did I do? I just pressed forward slash 3 times, and by default it gave me this thing. So now I can put, in summary, I can put whatever I want to say about this function. This function is just printing another line. Very useful, right? Okay, so that's why you need to use comments. Then you have variables. Variables, very interesting thing. After comments, variables are containers for storing data values. So during your execution of your program, you need something to hold values for your calculations. Simple, right? You need something where you can put the values for some temporary purpose, or even to return some values, or to do something. You need values, otherwise no need of any project, any application. And these variables are stored in different type of data types, which we will talk about data types in the next one. But so you have data types like integer, which stores values about integers. You have double, which stores about let's say example is 123. Example for doubles are 19.99. And you have characters, which is for quotes, which is like single character. And then you have a string, which is array of characters, which stores long strings and long sentences like hello world. So long combination of characters. And bool, which stores true or false values. So variables are containers for storing your data values. And to declare a variable, you need to say the type, variable name, and equals to value. How can you do that? Let's go back to our program. Here you don't have any variable, but let's just declare a variable type of int, let's say, and then so type is int, then variable name testing, and then its value, let's say I just say 123 and semicolon. So you see here I said type of my variable, name of the variable equals to 123. So simply this variable testing is holding value 123, and now I can use this testing variable in my application. Like this. Yep, you need to say read only because you don't want it to be modified, and it should be static as well, because I will explain about it later on. Okay, so you see I can then just use this variable in my application, in my function, and this variable is every time always holding value 1 2 3. I can change this value here. I can just say testing equals to blah blah blah, and that's all. I just changed it. Because I put read only, so I can just change the value of it. You see the change, very interesting thing. I put read only, then I cannot change the value of it, but if I remove read only, then I can change the value of this variable. Interesting, no? Okay, so you know what are variables. Now the data types, C# data types. Now for variables we need the type, right? The data type, and the data types are int, long, float, double, bool, character, string. These are the different data types. You can also have custom data types. These are the system defined data types which are coming from the namespace, which is developed by Microsoft. But you can also have data types which are defined by user. Let's say you define a class and then you want to use them. We will talk about them later. So integer type of data type, it has the size of 4 bytes. It stores whole numbers from minus, this is whole long digit. I hope you can see it, but this is 2147 million in negative to 2147 million in positive. Same way, if you want to store a higher value than this, then you need to use long, which is 8 bytes of memory. Of course, you need to decide, because your application will be holding more space if you always use long. So you need to decide depending on your requirements. And then this stores, long stores, so you see it's starting from 808, and these are the number of millions. I cannot even pronounce this, but you can search. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 digit. This is 19 digit number. I don't think you will have longer than this. And then you have float, which stores fractional numbers, so which is storing decimal numbers sufficient to store 6 to 7 decimal digits. And then you have double, which is 8 bytes, float is 4 byte, and this is 8 byte, stores fractional numbers sufficient for storing 15 decimal digits. And then you have bool, which is only 1 bit. These are the bytes, and this is only 1 bit, stores true or false values, which is 0 or 1. So if you have a variable which is just for some conditions, let's say is it day or is it night, is it day, is it raining, like this, so just questions for which ends with yes or no, you can store them in bool, and which is 1 bit only and stores true or false. Then you have character, 2 bytes, which stores 1 letter of character surrounding by single quotes. You have string, which stored 2 bytes per characters, and it can be really long. So it stores a sequence of characters surrounded by double quotes, and character is surrounded by single quotes. Then you have typecasting. So implicit casting, which is automatically converting a smaller type to a larger type. So let's say you can assign a character to int, and you can assign an int to a long, you can assign a long to a float or double. You see, this is implicit casting. You don't need to do any special provision for this. If you just assign, let's do it here. So if you just assign, let's say you have testing and you have another static float testing 1 like this, then you can assign equals to testing. You see, but what you cannot do, the opposite. You cannot do the opposite. You can not say testing equals to testing 1. You cannot do that because cannot implicitly convert type float to int. So you see, so implicit casting is already available casting, which is for smaller types can easily be converted to the bigger types or understood bigger types. Then there is explicit casting, which means casting the different types of values to another type of value. You need to do it manually, then you can do it. How can you do it? Okay, now I need to convert testing 1, which is let's say like this. Then I need to say convert to int 32, and then I need to pass this value. So I need to say this is existing function which converts any value, passed value, to int. If we just go to this one, it accepts all type of values. You see, to int you can send any type of value. Very interesting. Okay, so this is how you can convert explicitly. User input, very interesting point. So in our application we wanted to have user input. Let's say we wanted the user to insert something in our program. Then we say, okay, please write something, please enter your name, and then we wait for its name equals to console dot read line. So now the value of this read line will be in this one, and then we can use this value here. So we simply ask the user, let me just remove this, it will be, otherwise you will be confused. And the same way, let me just remove these two things. Okay, we want user to enter something with the user interaction. It can, in this application it will be via console, but you can have other way of user interaction using text boxes, whatever you, depending on your type of application. This is console application, so we will be having input from the user using console. So what we say, we write print a line and then we wait for the user to enter his name, and then we use this name to print it. So let's just run it. please enter your name, and then blah blah blah, and then hello, the name I just entered. You see, so I could do something else as well with this name, but I just printed to show and in the example. So this is in this example, enter your age, you read the line, and then your age is this blah blah. Then you have operators. Very interesting thing to learn actually. Operators. There are 4 type of operators. Operators are used to perform operations on variables and values. So you have some variables, let's say 2 strings, name 1 and name, let's say your name and my name. You have 2 values, and I want to see if my name and your name are similar or not. So I want to use, and for that I need to use operator, which will be comparison operator. The same way, for if I want to increase, if I want to add 2 values, let's say your age and my age, I want to add them, then I will need arithmetic operator. Same way, to assign a value to a variable, I will need assignment operator, and same way I will need to calculate, to do some logical things with my variables, I will need logical operators. So let's talk about them one by one. So arithmetic operator, all the arithmetic operations done using operators which are like plus, minus, multiply. Multiply operator is star, and division, which is forward slash, modulus, which is percent, and increment, which is plus plus, and decrement, which is minus minus. So these are arithmetic operators which you can use to do any arithmetic operation. Then you have assignment operator, which I said to assign a value to a variable. Like here, when I'm assigning a value to this name of this function, and the return of this function, which is readline, which is returning a string. I could also say int test equals to this. So what I'm doing, I'm just assigning a value to this test by using equals to operator. So that's equals to operator is assignment operator. So let's go back. Comparison operator. Then you have, okay, if my age is greater than your age or not. So what I would do, for that I need to have 2 same type of variables. So my age equals to 23 and your age equals to 24, and I want to know programmatically. Now I directly know whose age is bigger, but this program doesn't know. So I need to compare. If your age is greater than my age, so you see here I need this expression greater than, which is comparison. So this is the comparison operator. Then you have logical operators. So why would you need logical operator then? So comparison operator are equals to, greater than, less than, greater than equals to, less than equals to. Same way logical operators are, these operators are and, which is logical and, or, which is logical or, and not, which is logical not. So here I have one condition. Then I also want to add another condition. How would I add it? So I will have to say and, which means logical and, which means I'm adding these two conditions, and to add these two conditions I will have logical and your is, I want to have just another condition, your is divided by 4 is equals to 6, right? I want to have two conditions. If your age is greater than my age, and if your age is divided by 4 equals to 6, that means then I can do something. Then to do something, I'm having these curly braces. You remember to put everything. So this is scope actually. So scope of my function is this. The scope of if condition is this. So if this condition is true, then this is the scope, and here I can write any statement, and if this condition is true, that will be executed. So if I write blah 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 anything, that will be done if this condition is true. Strings. So we just talked about data types in previous slides, where you to declare any variable you need a data type. You have strings, which are a type of data type, actually, and you use a lot strings in your program actually. So for that you need to do many operations with the strings. So you have two main functions, which are concatenation, string interpolation. String concatenation is adding two strings together, right? So you have other operations as well, because string is coming from a class. Let's say I declare a variable here, string my name equals to tag of the day, and I have another one, string your name equals to tag without today. Okay, so I have two strings. I want to concatenate them. So I want to put them in a single string. To concatenate, I have to use plus operator. So if I just want to say string total name equals to my name plus your name. Interesting. So what it will do, it will add tag without today into this string. So the result will be tag of the day, tag without today. This will be the whole. So if I just console if I just write this down, if I just print this total name, so tag of the day, tag without today, you see. So that's simple, very simple, right? Just concatenated. But you might have some situation where you need, let's say you need to use age, you need to use name as well. What I want to print is, I want to print tag of let's say just put space here, make it pretty, tag without today. Okay, tag of the today is I want to put like this 23, and tag without today is 24. This is what I want to print. How can I do it? Because here this plus operator is only applicable when the data types, these variables are from the same type. Because my name is a string, your name is a string, then I can use it. But here my age is 23, which is integer type. So I can use interpolation, which means I can just say console dot write line and I can use $sign to say I'm using interpolation. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put my name, take this as variable directly from there, and then is slash, then space, another variable, my age, then this, and then your name is your age. Very good, right? You just put the variables there and you can insert still your thingy here is and it is in a string, so this will be the whole format. So if I just print it down here, tag of the day is 23, tag without today is 24. So simply, right? So interpolation is very useful when you want to include different variables and still you want to enjoy this freedom. Otherwise, to use plus blah blah, you will have to do like plus here, and you could do like this, and is so you have to do like this. It's just like ugly way of doing it. So you could do like simply like this. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Then you have booleans. After string types you have booleans. Booleans are simply yes or no. So these are used to check for conditions. Actually, is C# fun, is Python fun, is C# better than Java? Yes, of course, yes. So for these type of values, on, off, true, false, yes, no, these type of answers, you use boolean. And then boolean values are simply yes, true or false. And then the expression, that expression is let's say in the previous example where I just used this expression. So this expression is your age is greater than my age. Is this true or false? So the answer of this is boolean. So this is execution. After the execution of this statement, you will have, let's say, true here, and then you have this execution, then you have true also, then true and true with logical operator will be true. So this whole expression will become true. So this is what booleans are used for, to store the values of conditions expressions, boolean expressions. Then you have if else. You can use if else in your program as we just did it. And to use if else, you have to use conditional statements. And so use if to specify a block of code to be executed if a specified condition is true. Then if that condition is not true, then you say else do this. So you specify else to execute a block of code if this condition is false. Let's say if x is greater than y, then I do this. But what if it's false, then I want to do something else. Then you can write the block using these curly braces and do your thing in there. And you might have another possibility. So let's say you have a variable today which is containing name of the day today, and then you want to say if today equals to Sunday, then you do this. If and then you will have else do this. But you want to also test other conditions. If it's a Monday, then I want to do something else. If it's a Tuesday, then I want to do something else. So you say if today equals to Sunday, then do this. Else if, you will put again another condition, else if. And same way you can keep nesting until you finish your conditions. You can keep nesting else if today equals to Tuesday, else if today equals to Friday, blah blah blah. So you can continue doing that. But that becomes really nasty, because if you keep nesting, if you have nested if else statements, that becomes really heavy to execute for the compiler, because it will have to execute every condition you have here. Then to avoid that problem, you need to use switch statements. The switch expression is evaluated once, so and then the value of the expression is compared with the values of each case. If there is a match, the associated block of the code is executed, and the break and the default keywords will be described later in this chapter. Okay, so let's go for the practical example. We do get name of the day, and it returns name of the day, and in int okay, so you have a variable in this function which is having a syntax for switch statement is you have a variable which is here, which is a name of the day as int, and you iterate through this variable. Let's say you say name of the day as int. Okay, right? And then we start the switch statement. Okay, just to remove this this error, let me just return something. String name of the day. That's all. And now what I will do, I'll go one by one. So switch statement is comprised of expression and then cases and then default. So if then you say like this, case 1, then you say name of the day equals to Sunday, right? And then you break it. Okay, same way you make other cases. Case 2, just copy paste it. Okay, and now you see it is saying it has detected already case 1, then it's saying you cannot put case 1 multiple times, then it's case 2, name of the day Monday, case 3, name of the day Tuesday, and then case 4, Wednesday, case 5, Thursday, case 6, Friday, and then case, then we can say okay, default is name of the day equals to Saturday. That means if any other digit comes, then it is and then I return name of the day. Okay, so you see how it works. You have a switch statement which is accepting an expression, which means this variable, and then we are iterating through this value of this variable and check if the value of this variable is 1, then name of the day equals to the Sunday, and we return this value. That means the day is Sunday. Same way you can do like this for everyone. The benefit of this is the expression is executed only once. So this expression, the value of this is executed once, and then the cases are stored in a kind of dictionary. That means you just find out the corresponding value of this and just return that. You don't go through if this and this, else this, else. So you see in the previous one we said else if. We can ignore that thing easily, right? So this is what the switch statement does actually. So you see the switch expression is evaluated once, the first one, and then the value of the expression is compared with the values of each case. If there is a match, the associated block of code is executed, and then you come out of the switch statement. The break and default keywords will be described. So as I described already, default is if the value doesn't match from any of the case, then default value will be that, and break is to come out of that switch statement. Then we have while loop. While loop is containing like do something until a condition is true. That means the while loop loops through a block of code as long as the specified condition is true. That means while this condition is true, you can do anything within this block of code. You can write anything there. Like you could call a function, you could do some calculations, you could you could do anything actually. And the same way you can also have do while loop. This is simple while loop. Then you can have do while loop. Do while loop is you do something, you do some expression, you calculate the condition, and then while the condition is true, you keep executing this loop. So you start here, int I equals to 0, and console write line I, and then I plus plus, so you're changing the value of this I, and then you continuously checking the value. That means if I is less than 5, then you do this loop. If it's not less than 5, then you go out of the loop. So it's do while loop. Then you have C# for loop. For loop is for the same way. Here you saw you have a while loop with a condition, right? But you don't want, you have a condition here, but you don't want, sorry, you also have a condition, but the structures, the syntax is a bit different. You have 3 statements within the for loop. So the first statement is executed only for one time, for the first time. So you have the first statement is executed one time before the execution of the code block. Second defines the condition. This statement defines the condition, and the third one is for executed every time after this code block is executed. So for the first time, you go through this, you say int I equals to 0. That means you say, okay, I'm starting with zeros loop, and then until the value of I is less than 5, and then it's saying every loop finishes, you increment the value of I plus plus means it's an operator, plus plus operator, which we just talked in the video in this previously. That means, so you are executing 3 statements in the for loop, and if this condition is true, you go into the block and you do some operations. Here we are just simply writing write line I, the value of I, and it is increased every time. So for the first time, console.writeLine will print I as 0, so 0, and then for the second time 1 2 3 4. It will only execute until 4 because the condition is I less than 5. You can also use break and continue in for loop. So here, if you want, okay, you are going through this loop, but for certain values you want to say, okay, no, I don't want to execute this, I want to go out of the loop. Okay, but how? Because you don't have any provision here to say to break the loop, because you see, you just saying you have 3 conditions, 3 statements. First initialization, second condition, and third increment or decrement, whatever. But then if, let's say in this case, I want to go out of the loop when value of I is 4, so what you can use is break. You put break anywhere in the execution in C# in general, you go out of that block. So when we put break in switch statement, we could go out of the switch statement. Same way we put break here, we can go out of the for loop. And same way I can use continue when I want to say, okay, there is a problem, I want to go to the next one. Let's say if value of I equals to 4, I don't want to break off this this loop, I don't want to go out of this loop, but I want to execute next one, but not this, especially 4. So I could say skip this I equals to 4, then I will say continue. That means it will go out of this, it will not execute for 4, it will go for the next one. You see, so simple. Then you have arrays. Interesting one, because arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable instead of declaring separate variables for each value. To declare an array, define the variable type with square brackets like this, and you just initialize this array. There is one condition here. You cannot have different type of values in a same array, meaning you cannot put different type of data types. So if an array is of string type, you cannot put integers here. Integers means numbers. So you see, you cannot put you can only put strings, which means Volvo, BMW, Ford, Mazda. So only these strings, not numbers 1 2 3 4. So everything with double quotes is string. So I hope you are clear with these things till now. So let's just give a recap. Let's go one by one. We talked about syntax in this video. We talked about comments. We talked about variables, how to declare variables. We talked about data types. Data types, you know, remember? Int, long, float, double, bool, character, string. I want you to remember them because you will use them a lot in next couple of videos. We will use them a lot, and to do real work, because you will use them in real daily life. Then casting, very important. So you have to choose your data types wisely, because of the memory, but because of the casting of the different objects. So int cannot be casted, long cannot be casted to int, but int can be casted to long. Same way, a character can be casted to a string, but a string cannot be casted to character, because the string is higher. So string has more value. That means compiler has restricted these things because you have memory loss problems. Let's say double has some decimal points, and when you will cast it to integer, that means you are losing some the decimal points, because integer doesn't support decimal points. Int supports only single digit numbers without any decimal points. You see, then you have to have a user input. In the console application, we can just read line and wait for the user's input. Operators, very interesting operators. We talked about arithmetic operators, C# assignment operators, C# comparison operators, C# logical operators, and I want you to remember each of them. String operations with the string is string concatenation with plus sign, string interpolation with dollar sign. I hope you remember. And then you have booleans with yes, no, on, off, true, false. For these three type of values you use booleans, and booleans are really useful because they are just direct values, and you can just use them in any condition, any expression, like in if else, and you can directly execute that because it's storing only one bit actually, sorry. Then you have if else. If a condition is true, you execute a block of code and then you go out of it. And you also have if this condition is true, then do this, else if this condition is not true, then do another block of code. You can add like that. But you can also have else if this is true, then do this, else if with another condition, if that condition is true, do that. Then you can have multiple nested else if, and in the end you put else, the default condition. Same way you can turn them into a switch expression, having, let's say we had the example of days with the returning type with switch case statements. Then you have do while loop, you have for loop with break and continue as well, you have arrays, and that's all. So in this video we simply talked about the basic required things for C#.NET, C# programming. Okay, so I hope you learned, and I hope you are ready for the next tutorial. In the next tutorial we will go a little bit deeper, and then we will have another video talking about functions, methods, method parameters, overloading of parameters, and then we will talk about classes, oops concepts, class members, constructors, access modifiers, properties, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, interface, enums, file, exceptions. So we will talk about all these things, and then in the end, then we will do an application from scratch, and after that development, I think you will be ready to do any application in C Sharp. So stay tuned, and please let me know in the comment section your feedback or your questions. And then till then, stay safe and like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. See you. Bye.